So your programming is your problem. It's not what's happening around the world, it's how you're viewing it. It's what you're seeing. It's how you are embracing or not embracing the shit. Everything is fundamentally neutral until you give it meaning. I'm going to say that again. Everything is fundamentally neutral until you give it meaning. Like Hurricane Helene. Y'all, I've been through Hurricane Katrina. Shit, I was director of public relations for the city of New Orleans as we've been trying to live according to the social construct. Well, the game is the matrix. And in order to get out of it, you've got to figure out who you are in it. And start embracing your natural gifts. Honey, I have all the damn clear senses and always have. But I had to mute all the things I was seeing and hearing and feeling and just knowing. I'm telling you, your children are not taking this shit anymore. We are in a different time and space. And you either gonna rise to the occasion in your divine consciousness in order to crush that shit, or you're gonna be crushed by it. We are in our world today seeing the crumbling of what has been happening all along. It's not just about the freak-offs, y'all. It's about the children, the real value of melanin. Do you know that people are having melanin transplants and you can't purchase that? Do you hear me? Do you know where it comes from? See, nobody wants to think that dark. And in my former life of personal development, I would be giving you some skills to cope. No, it's your coping skills that have you a nervous effing wreck. Because you've figured out some things to kind of make you feel good in the moment in order to get over a hump. But I'm telling you, there is no hump. This thing ain't ever leveling out. It is going to change. It has to collapse, okay? So that means this isn't about coping, it's about rising. I left the States and had to figure out how the hell am I gonna do this? But the first thing I did was stop trying to do it the ways that I've been conditioned to do it. All right, I'm out here in the rain on this one, y'all. Hi, my name is Zara Green. This is either a welcome or a welcome back. Buckle up, okay? Because I'm about to dig into some stuff that's gonna make you think and think hard. I'm about to tell you some stuff about my own experiences that's gonna make you think and think hard. Because all the stuff that is happening right now, many of us have known all along. This doesn't make me, special. No, it does mean that I'm owning everything that I am now, and I'm no longer muting or dismissing my intuition, because there is intellect and there's intuition, baby. And your intellect is what you've been operating from. I'm telling you, you're gonna need to tap into your intuition in order to get through the shit your life is in. Stay with me. It's being said, particularly from people in the United States, that the world has gone crazy. And I am coming to tell you that if your world is the United States, then you're right, it has gone crazy. Are there other places in the world that have often been in turmoil, and because you are in the United States, you've been able to overlook it? Absolutely. But have there always been things in the United States that have been wicked and wild, and you were not directly affected by it? And therefore, your world was not going crazy. Let me specify that there are differences in your world, you and the world, and I'm gonna break that down a little bit more a little later. We are in our world today seeing the crumbling of what has been happening all along. I left the U.S. because I recognized U.S. bullshit, U.S. shit that was happening and has been happening for a very long time. Again, when people are not directly affected, then they tend not to see it. But there are those of us who have been directly affected by a lot of the social constructs, and who came here to not follow the course, but to break this shit down. I keep telling you that your life is so very individual, that you have been programmed to believe that you are to fit into and to identify with the things that they needed you to identify with in order for their structures to continue, and now their structures are collapsing, which is a beautiful thing. So we've got the P. Diddy shit. He done changed his name so many times, he could be P. Diddy. But y'all, that's the tip of the iceberg. And for those of us who have been going down rabbit holes for a long time and having to be around people who refuse to go down rabbit holes, who were comfortable living their United States constructed fallacies of a life, and we have not been able to even communicate those things or be talk to people about those things. We knew that shit was off. I am telling you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's not just about the freak offs, y'all. It's about the children. It's about all the black children who have gone missing. It's about the real value of melanin. Do you know that people are having melanin transplants and shit? You can't purchase that. Do you hear me? Do you know where it comes from? See, nobody wants to think that dark. And then they've got religion. They've got you so, and I was there. I mean, us, y'all, I came out of these constructs, these same shit I'm telling you about, okay? BlackRock filed for bankruptcy. Listen, BlackRock owns every goddamn thing. This collapse has to happen before we can rise again. I left the States and had to figure out how the hell am I going to do this? But the first thing I did was stop trying to do it the ways that I've been conditioned to do it. All right? So your programming is your problem. It's not what's happening around the world. It's how you're viewing it. It's what you're seeing. It's how you are embracing or not embracing the shit. Is it shit? Yes. But is it good shit? Oh, honey, perspective will help you. Tweaking your perspectives will help you to see that it really is good shit. Again, I'm going to break down this you, your world, and the world. Hold on. Okay, so I told you I was going to talk to you about you, your world, and the world, okay? So I have two versions of this now. When I was in the world of personal development, this is how I taught it. So that's you. That's your world. And this is the world. You got that? You, your world, the world. Okay? You see this isn't anyway. Okay, so that didn't work. So here is an insertion. I had to insert this lesson. And I told you earlier, I used to teach this in workshops as in personal development one way. Now, when you are looking at it through your divinity, then you have to switch this thing all the way around, okay? So we have the world, we have your world, we have you. The world is constantly changing, right? There's the world and there is your world. What things constitute what you are affected by? Now, when you look at that, there's a world of happenings going on all the time. And with that, then we have actions, reactions, developments, causes, effects, a lot of interrelated activities, right? All with the ability and the likelihood to change your circumstances at any moment and to affect you. Now, how do you ensure that everything that goes on in the world is not a catastrophe for you? Well, that has everything to do with how you interpret every single situation. Everything is fundamentally neutral until you give it meaning. I'm going to say that again. Everything is fundamentally neutral until you give it meaning. So, if that means everything in the world. Now, every idea you have, you got it from somewhere. Now, and most of it started with family, right? This is an actual page from the workbook of several workshops that I've taught. So things are happening in the world, right? And it looks like these things are closing in on you. All these things are happening, right? Things happen in the world, and then they get closer into your world, and eventually you are impacted. That's how you've gone through life. That's what you've gone through life believing. So the next time something in your world has you feeling overwhelmed, before it becomes all-consuming, you have to remind yourself that there are, over 8 billion people in the world who share the world with you. That means everybody is impacted in different ways. And how they're impacted has everything to do with their perspective. So if there is a pendulum that the news has out that they want you to believe about the world, and you have not determined that what happens in your world has everything to do with your perspective, not the things, then you will indeed be impacted. So you have the world that comes and creates things that impact your world, and now here you go in overwhelm because you think you have to give your energy and your thoughts and your attention and all of that to all of the things that are outside of you. Okay? Now, if we were in a session, I'd be up at a board and I'd be asking you about a lot of the things that are happening in our world. And I'd go from the outside and bring you on in. What's happening in our world? Right now, there's all kinds of things you would list. From Hurricane Helene to the issues of Palestine, to the elections, to our economy, all the stuff I listed and talked about in here already, okay? You'd be going from there. Then I'd ask you what's happening in your world. Then you tell me about how the economy is affecting your world and how, yeah, it's hard to pay bills and how you've lost cars and how now your relationships are troubled and all that stuff. And then you would let all that stuff come and sit on your shoulders and impact you in ways that are not good, not healthy for you, okay? If this is your first time hearing me talk about human consciousness versus divine consciousness, in human consciousness and in me teaching personal development, then again, I would be giving you some coping tips on how to handle all this stuff. Well, baby, there's a way to rise above all this shit. And that is the part that you got to get to in order to understand it really is your only way out from the bullshit that we are in. And again, none of this stuff is happening in a vacuum. It is happening because of the social constructs that have been created. Again, I want to remind you that you chose to come here. I know a lot of y'all still ain't there yet. What you mean I chose to come here? Yep, you chose those families. You chose mom and daddy. You chose all this shit, okay? Now, let me give you the real on this. I need you to switch these out. Remember, it was only over the past several years that I even came into my full divine consciousness in understanding this. And I took some drastic effing measures in order to shave the shit and to simply focus on my divinity. So here is the truth of the matter, okay? The truth of the matter, because everything is fundamentally neutral until you give it meaning, is that this is the world. Baby, this is the world, which means this continues to be your world. But baby, everything outside of that is you. You are everything that the absolute is. You are energy. You are the same energetic force that the absolute is. So as part of this is how energetically you contribute to the things that are happening in your world. And energetically, this is how you contribute to the things that are happening in the world. So the world, all this shit needs to be inverted. The stuff in the world is actually being developed and created by the collective consciousness of each individual. Baby, do you hear me? Because those people that you have given so much power to and that you call elite, stop calling them people elite. Those people have just set up some shit that you have been following. But the moment you collapse that shit and if everything is fundamentally neutral until you give it meaning, when you start giving different meanings and have different perspectives, start operating in the divinity that you are, you will fundamentally change what is going on in your individual world, which will directly impact what's going on in your broader world, which will then, you will start to see only that which you desire happening in our world. Now, does that mean that other people are not viewing it in different ways? Yes, they are. But when you understand energy and you start focusing your energy in positive ways toward our world, then collectively and the more we do that, will start to change what is happening in the world. This is the world. This is your world. But baby, everything outside of that is you. You got it? Good. So whatever is happening in your world, I'm telling you, is good shit. Just to point out a couple other things that are going on, like Hurricane Helene. Y'all, I've been through Hurricane Katrina. Shit, I was director of public relations for the city of New Orleans. I didn't start in Nagin's camp. Okay, so it started raining and I had to pack it up. Let's see if I can pick up where it's raining again. Let me wrap this, y'all. I think I've gotten too close to just about every reality, entertainment business, our political systems, and how they actually work in public relations. I mean, the game of public relations is smoke and mirrors, for those of you who don't know. That was the whole, for it to even be called public relations, was it was a game. And the person who came up with it, why they came up with it, it was all about propaganda. I did not start in Nagin's camp. There's so much we could have done around Hurricane Katrina. So after Nagin was out, I went back and helped to get Mitch in. Public relations in politics is smoke and mirrors. And if you've never worked it, you don't know that. But that's what they hire you for. They hire you to paint pictures, to say yes to everybody, and to have everybody feeling like you are listening to them and you are doing whatever it is that they called you to do. Oh, I'm gonna finish this video, damn it. I'm a former news reporter. Oh, you don't let no little rain stop you. You figure it out. So here we go. So in truth, I don't really know where I left off, okay? I know we were talking about Hurricane Helene and me being in Hurricane Katrina. Listen, we have all had our share of trauma in life, okay? And especially because we've been trying to live according to the social constructs, which has everything to do with the matrix. That's what it is, y'all. The game is the matrix. And in order to get out of it, you've got to figure out who you are in it. In my former life of personal development, I would be giving you some skills to cope. No, it's your coping skills that have you a nervous effing wreck. Because you've figured out some things to kind of make you feel good in the moment in order to get over a hump. But I'm telling you, there is no hump. This thing ain't ever leveling out. It is going to change. It has to collapse, okay? So that means this isn't about coping, it's about rising. I keep saying there are only two identities. It is your human consciousness, which you have been following in social constructs. Look, I'm looking over here when I should have been looking over here. But it is what you've been following in social constructs. And I'm telling you, that is exactly what has to collapse. It's what had to happen in my life. It's why I left the US, so that I could regulate my nervous system when I realized just how crazy shit was going and how much people were accepting. And I just couldn't do it anymore. It was leave or die, literally, for me, because I had been surrendering so much of myself in every area of my life with everybody. And start embracing your natural gifts. Honey, I have all the damn clear senses and always have. But I had to mute all the things I was seeing and hearing and feeling and just knowing, and then watching those things gradually picking up speed and more momentum coming behind them, because all the shit done in the dark has to come to light. You know, even as a child looking at stuff and going, well, that doesn't make any sense, and having the adults around me just tell me to shut up. I'm telling you, your children are not taking this shit anymore. We are in a different time and space. And you either gonna rise to the occasion in your divine consciousness in order to crush that shit, or you're gonna be crushed by it. I pay zero attention to the things that are happening in the US. I stopped watching television. I stopped participating in certain things. Even the corporate world, I got to the point where I hated that shit. And much of my life was going to all these fucking conferences, and they're trying to get in all these, spaces that, I had access to. But I'm looking at these people playing the Matrix games, and they don't even know that's what they're doing. They are just trying to get ahead according to the way that the experts say, and working so hard on productivity that they are surrendering themselves, are not in touch with their intuition, just following all the protocols that the so-called experts say they're supposed to. Y'all, it's been time out for that shit. I'm so happy to see this shit crumbling. All right, as they say, it's raining cats and dogs out here, y'all. I got to figure out how the hell I'm going to get home. I love the river, but damn, the river and the rain, and I got to piss. All right, listen, that's all I got for you today, all right? It's your life. Choose it just as it is. Own it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Change it. As long as you can breathe and learn, it can get better. From somewhere out here in South America where I love being, and I'm telling you, it's not the same everywhere around the world. You're looking for some tranquility and some peace, you're going to have to expand your thought processes and your consciousness, okay? You're going to have to identify with your divine consciousness more than your human consciousness and really start to understand what that is. I've got a lot of videos on it, and not enough of you have seen them. So do yourself a favor so you can expand your consciousness and go look for them, all right? Ciao for now.